One thing we know, I've learned in all this research and studying, is that your self-worth can determine your net worth, but your net worth won't determine your self-worth. It doesn't reverse in the other direction. And for me, what I've realized is that anxiety will probably never fully go away trying to impress others. I am guilty of that. Do I need to drive a Cadillac or a Lexus? No. Do I need to live in a bigger house? No. Is some of my self-worth or how I'm trying to show up in the world tied to money? Yeah, it is. And becoming aware of that is helpful because that's the first step as when changing anything is you got to have the awareness.
Hey, what's up, entrepreneurs? Welcome to another episode of the Persistent Entrepreneur Podcast. Today, we're with Mr. Bill Gates. Bill, the referral coach and author. Bill, how's it going today?
Doing well. And just so you know, not Bill Gates, right? Just
Did I say Gates?
Wondering.
I said,
no, you said Gates. It's just people do a double take. And they go, how the heck did David Hill get Bill Gates on the podcast?
Come on.
Yeah, he's got a lot of money. I help people make more money in the spirit of service to others.
I love it, man. What do you mean? How did I get Bill Gates on the podcast? Bill's a regular on the podcast. I'm just kidding.
You were persistent. You were persistent. That's how you got him.
I am persistent. You're not kidding. Yeah, I honestly never even tried to get him on the podcast, but he'd be a great guest. But The Rock, I'm focused on. If you get any connections to him, he's like my dream guest. And then obviously I had Gary Vee on and some other cool ones. But anyway, today though, we're with Bill Gates. What's the referral coach, by the way? We didn't talk about that before we started.
Yeah, for about the last 30 years, I've been helping professionals acquire more clients through referrals, personal introductions, more compelling value propositions. So that's under the umbrella of relationship marketing. And in this world where it's so easy to broadcast our message, all there is noise. It's easy to broadcast it, but it's hard to actually get anybody to pay attention. The way to be relevant with someone who doesn't know you is an introduction from someone they do know and someone they trust. And before my most recent book, which I know we'll talk about, everything I did was all about getting more referrals, getting more introductions, growing a business in that way.
I love it. Referrals are critical. Obviously, I've been in the real estate business for a long time.
Yep.
We get a lot of referrals. And as a matter of fact, sometimes I believe referrals are the best business because for me, it's a little different in real estate. Like obviously when somebody says, hey, call David Hill, then that's going to be a lot warmer than if I just go out there and I cold call somebody or we get somebody in because we ran some ads on Facebook or something. So it's a different experience. Typically the connection's different. But in the real estate space, referrals are great because it's actually a really good ROI. I can make a phone call to somebody, send them a lead. They close the deal 4 months later and I get a big fat check and all I did was make a phone call. Anyway, love referrals. All right. Yep. So appreciate you being here. We're going to talk about limiting beliefs today. But before we do that, let me tell people who you are. You got a lot of letters here after your name, CSP, CPAE, passionate about helping the next generation get right with money. Man, we could do a whole conversation about getting right with money. We're going to go into that in a minute. We're actually going to start there, okay? You're known for your work as the referral coach to top financial advisors, helping generate billions in assets. Bill focuses now on guiding younger leaders, entrepreneurs, and future millionaires towards true financial freedom. His latest book, The Hidden Heist, Stop Robbing Yourself of Lasting Wealth, is an irresistible tale of financial redemption. He blends humor and storytelling that help people spot limiting beliefs and adopt simple financial principles that make smart decisions and lead to lasting wealth. Bill believes that everyone, no matter where they start, deserves the chance to create financial confidence and stability and build financial freedom. So again, thanks for being here today, man. When you say get right with money, talk about that. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, most humans have broken money stories. What I mean by story is the story we tell ourselves. I'm sure you've probably covered that in past interviews with folks, right? We all tell ourselves stuff. We tend to believe what we tell ourselves, which is sometimes the first mistake. And so most psychologists believe that our money stories, our beliefs, our view on money gets fairly solidified around age 7 or 8. mostly from parents and other people close to us. And then after that, everything we see either validates what we've believed or we ignore it. And so people walk around, adults, even wealthy adults, have broken money stories. I've seen wealthy people that are fearful around money, afraid they're going to lose it at any time. I've seen people who feel shame around money, and not just people who've made bad money mistakes might feel shame. You'd expect that, but actually folks that sometimes they don't feel like they earned it because they inherited all kinds of stuff. And we can get into those if you want, but that's what I mean by getting right with money. Yeah.
Share some of those examples of what's a money story. Give us a couple of examples.
Yeah, sure. So I'm approaching 100 money story interviews. I'm interviewing a lot of folks, different ages, different strata of society, you name it. And what is their story? When did they first experience money? What's their first few memories of money? What lessons did they get from their parents and others around them? What mistakes, what successes, all of that. So I'll give you a couple. One, Michael actually interviewed recently. His father was a police officer and he grew up kind of middle class environment, but his father resented people with a lot of wealth. Probably saw some corrupt people with wealth as a cop. Not all wealthy people are corrupt. A few are, most aren't. But anyway, he grew up with that resenting money. And it wasn't until he realized that he got that message from his father that he couldn't become what he resented. You can't become what you resent, right? That cognitive dissonance kicks in. And so he had to do a little work on himself to get through that and persist through it, to use your term, to a new belief and rewrite his story. And here's a challenge about beliefs, by the way, and I will go into this. One thing we know about the brain is that we are wired. There are neuropathways in the brain. We can never get rid of those neuropathways. They are with us forever. We can't change them. We can only overwrite them. We can get new beliefs, new pathways on top. That's why sometimes it's a challenge to stay with a certain belief or a certain behavior because that old stuff's still lingering there. So that's one example. I'll give you an example.
Let me ask you this question too, and then you can give us. So you mentioned that he resented money, but did he resent money or did he resent people with money?
Well, he resented people with money and they became the same. So
in his mind, it's the same. There's no difference between people with money and money.
People with a lot of money. Yeah. And a similar belief is that money will change you for the worse. Now, I suspect that most people that listen to you probably, at least on the surface, don't have these limiting beliefs. They're aspirational, they're energetic, they have grit, they have persistence, all of that stuff.
Entrepreneurs.
They're entrepreneurs. I'm an entrepreneur. I built and sold 2 businesses. I've had my last business for the last 30 years. We generate well over $1 million a year in the information space. And I have anxiety around money. I've had it since I was a kid.
Me too.
So there you go. So how does that show up? Let me tell you how it showed up for me. And it took me a while to realize this. Again, on the surface, I didn't know I had that. On the surface, I felt like I had a pretty healthy attitude towards money. I never seemed to worry, didn't seem to worry about money. But then I realized I actually have some anxiety around it. And so what happens is I realized that I was tying, and this is such a common thing, tying my self-worth to my financial worth. And one thing we know that I've learned in all this research and studying is that your self-worth can determine your net worth, but your net worth won't determine your self-worth. It doesn't reverse in the other direction. And for me, what I've realized is that anxiety will probably never fully go away. I'm aware of it. When the radio plays, if the song plays on that radio inside my head, I just turn the volume down and realize I don't need to be anxious. I could have been happy with Toyotas, but I bought Lexuses. I bought Cadillac. I'm driving a Cadillac right now, and I know my father is rolling over in his ashes because my dad thought that anybody who drove a Cadillac was guilty of what he called conspicuous consumption, trying to impress others. And the truth is, yeah, I am guilty of that. Do I need to drive a Cadillac or a Lexus? No. Do I need to live in a bigger house? No. Is some of my self-worth or how I'm trying to show up in the world tied to money? Yeah, it is. And becoming aware of that is helpful because that's the first step as when changing anything is you got to have the awareness. And that's one of the things that led me into writing this book, The Hidden Heist, and we can get into that. But this whole conversation we have with ourselves around money. And I like to say, be careful about believing what you believe, right? Don't always believe what you believe because what you believe may be limiting and mistaken.
Yeah, I think, at least for me, we grew up really poor, so we didn't have a lot. So one of the things I remember was my mom always was like saved everything. And my grandparents too. They were like a lot of, I think people from that era were savers. And so I still find myself sometimes in that place of not wanting to spend, wanting to always be focused on saving and stuff and for years it was, I just remember, and maybe and the other thing I thought was important, what you brought is when you talked about us not being able to change that, which I struggle with that a little bit. I'm gonna be honest with you, because I feel like I've changed it a lot, but maybe you're right. Maybe I haven't changed it. Maybe I just overwrite it, like you said, because there's times where I think.
But it's not ruling you anymore. That's the key, right? The feelings and the sense may never fully go away. It can. Everybody's a little different. But the question is whether it rules you or controls you or impacts you in a negative way. So that's the difference. When you become aware of any limiting beliefs, whether it's around money or anything else, now you have choices that you didn't have before because you weren't aware. If I can tell you why I wrote the book, The Hidden Heist, it's all about this limiting belief concept. I had in the back burner a book I wanted to write, and it was my first working title was You Earn What You Believe. And I think any entrepreneur, all the folks listening to your show can get that, can understand that. It transcends all relationships, all aspects of our life. And here's the challenge, that if we don't have this awareness, let's say you're in a relationship that isn't working or feels like it's not working. Well, you can try to go to therapy. It could be good. You could try to have powwows and talk, and that's all good. That's strategic. That's tactical. Nothing wrong with that. However, if there's an underlying belief going on, either those strategies and tactics won't work, or you won't even allow yourself to consider them. If you believe a relationship is broken, then you won't do what it takes to fix it. If you believe it's unfixable, you won't do what if you believe it's the other person's problem and you don't see your role in the problem, then you won't do what it takes. So what I suggest for all entrepreneurs and anybody really is, if there's a challenge in your life, business, personal, every now and then just stop and say, all right, is there something I'm believing about myself, about the other person, the other players, the situation, the economy, the industry, whatever? Is there a belief going on that's hiding other opportunities for me because I don't see it? And so that's what got me into this. And since I've been around money for the last 30 years, helping financial advisors bring in billions, I decided to focus on the money side of the beliefs. And so the hidden heist are those beliefs that are robbing ourselves from our current and future wealth. And real quick, and nothing wrong with saving. You talked about saving and being a saver. Nothing wrong with that. My dad was a saver. The problem was he wasn't an investor. And so he never really got his money working for him. And there are some people that save or have trouble spending. I was having dinner with a guy, actually, a younger guy. We're both doing a TED Talk. We're on the same stage. And so we're helping each other talk through our TED Talk. But he's a younger guy, he's 33. And we went out to a really nice restaurant. And he's working full time. I didn't think it'd be a problem for him to go Dutch. And then I learned that he has a spending problem. This guy has trouble buying groceries for himself. And I'm thinking, wow, that's a money story I want to talk about. And by the way, when I learned that, I said, I'm picking up the tab. I don't want to feed into your anxiety about spending money on yourself. So everybody's got crazy stuff around money, and we don't talk about it much, right? It's a conversation that isn't had very often.
And I'm glad you brought that up. I honestly, I'm thinking about I know we called this for this recording, it's are your limiting beliefs robbing you of your entrepreneurial success? But I feel like I'm just going to change that a little bit. I'm going to put, are your limiting beliefs around money robbing you, because I feel like it is a lot of it is around money.
Sure.
And what you said about saving. So I remember being younger, I got my real estate license at 30 and I was killing it. I was making $250,000, $300,000 a year 20 years ago. And I had almost $500,000 in the bank and just sitting there and no clue what I could have done with that money if I understood how to invest or buy more real estate, things like that. But I didn't. It just sat there. I'm grateful to have had the money, but man, if I would have understood investing, what I could have done with that money.
And but
I never learned that.
Yeah, and me neither. And it's one of the things when I talk to, especially to younger folks, I'm a baby boomer. I talk a lot to Gen X, to millennials, even Gen Zers. And I talk about, I'm going to give you money lessons that your parents didn't give you, couldn't give you, or you weren't listening. And the biggest, most fundamental lesson of them all is compounding.
Yeah.
Albert Einstein is quoted, and I'm going to say quoted incorrectly, that we can get that if you want, but he's quoted incorrectly of saying, compounding is the eighth wonder of the world. Those who understand it, earn it. Those who don't, spend it. And that's compounding in debt interest versus compounding investment interest. And my father didn't teach me about compounding. He didn't let me know if I'd saved $100 a month starting at about age 20, I'd retire with a couple million, right? Now I caught up, but I'd be even further ahead if somebody taught me about compounding. Compounding and time are your best friends around this. So anyway, that's one of the ways we learn about our limiting beliefs is through education. When you learn how money works, then you can reflect back on what you did or didn't do when you could have done it. And then you say, all right, what was driving me? Why did, I didn't know, I had a belief. So that's, yeah, go ahead.
How does somebody so talk about the awareness, like how does somebody find that awareness? Like how does somebody know I'm dealing with limiting beliefs around money?
Probably there's frustration. There's probably anxiety. You're not happy with where you are around it. Now, there could be all kinds. You may have plenty and not be happy, but so there's obviously some sort of a pinch of frustration, a dissatisfaction, a gap between where you'd like to be and where you are. So that's the first step of just the pain, if you will. And there's kind of two ways to get at it. One is really deep introspection and working on yourself. Let me tell you about a gal. Her name is Melissa. One of the money stories I did recently, she had a lot of shame around money. She got bad messages from growing up, not intentionally by our parents. Quite often our parents don't intentionally give us bad messages or unhelpful messages. It's just what they got, probably from their parents. But she worked with a money coach and a money therapist and worked really hard on herself. And that's how she broke through and is doing incredible things now. So that's one way, deep introspection. There are a lot of folks, they think about introspection and going to a therapist, they'd rather poke needles in your eye. So the other way is through education, as I mentioned before. And when you become aware of how money works and things you can be doing, then you stop and you think of why wasn't I doing this before? What was holding me back? There's two avenues or two ways to get to that, to see what's not working. Also, one of the things that Melissa did and that I recommend folks do is to talk to people around you. In other words, talk to siblings or friends growing up in your neighborhood, and how did they perceive you, and how do they perceive your value, and how they perceive money in their lives, and what were the messages that you go through. And you learn so much about from other people's perspectives about how you move through the world that you don't see. The old expression is you can't see the picture if you're in the frame. And sometimes it requires someone else in our life. Could be a book, could be a podcast from you, it could be a friend give us a metaphorical slap upside the head and say, look, there's a different way to see this. There's a different way to view this. And until we have that awareness, stuck believing what we're believing. Well, awareness changes our life.
Yeah. I just think years ago, I remember we built a house and I was mowing my own lawn every other Saturday, and it was taking me The whole process from start to finish and shit was about 3 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I realized with a push mower, not like I even had a drive mower, right?
Hopefully it had a motor on it though. It wasn't just the old one.
Yeah, it was my grandfather. It's funny you say that because that's what my grandfather had.
That was my first mower.
My grandfather got the electric one with the long cord that around, and I used to do his yard. But yeah, I was doing it. And then I realized that I could have a guy for $75, twice a month come and do that for me. And it was $150. I would get an extra 6 hours of my time back that I could spend with my, do whatever I wanted to on the weekends. It was like, really? Holy cow. It's like a miracle. So then you start thinking about, hold on, if $150 divided by 6 is, what is that? Like 20, that's $25. So essentially I was doing $25 an hour work on the weekends and not even realizing it. So, I don't know, for me, I don't know, you probably have other strategies that help people really start to comprehend. Like we have all entrepreneurs and a lot of entrepreneurs do everything themselves. Like they're just not able to get to that next level. Why? Because they're bottlenecked with everything. What do you say to those people?
There's a belief going on, or could be a limiting belief. Look, some people like getting on, particularly maybe not the push mower, but some people like getting on the riding mower.
Sure, I get that. Yep, good point.
And it's a chill time, and perhaps, and we all know that mowing the lawn is there's a lot of satisfaction that comes from looking back at what you did and the grass looking good and smelling good. So I get that. But again, if there's a complaint, right? If there's a complaint, I could be doing something else. Why am I doing this? Right? I'm not enjoying this. I'm doing this because I'm telling myself I have to. Now we know we got something going on that doesn't need to be there. And so it could be a poverty consciousness. It could be an anxiety around money that's making us think we have to still do all that ourselves when we could really be hiring someone to do that. Now, I like landscaping. I like getting into the soil and getting dirty. I feel like there's something good and human about getting dirty and touching Mother Earth, not just on a golf course, but really getting my fingernails dirty. I don't have the stamina to do that like I used to when I was younger. So I still do some, but now I hire a lot of that because I can and because I don't have to do it. And so it's just being aware. Do you enjoy it? Or is there a complaint? Or is there some combination in between? Guys, entrepreneurs, the same thing with just, you were talking a little bit about, well, I don't want to go there. Forget that. But
the fact that right now I have an administrator that is just not dependent. She stopped being dependable. And
I didn't want to bring that up.
It's an issue. So I have to fix it right away because I spent a lot of time today doing things that I'm first not that good at. And second, drive me crazy. And
so there you go. So hiring someone, right? I remember the first time I hired someone years ago. Most people can relate to this. The first time you hire someone, is it time? There's a stress there? Can I afford them? Is there going to be an ROI there? And of course, we usually know that there is, and then it frees you up to do what you should be working on and not what you shouldn't be working on. But there's beliefs going on there. Again, that's where the beliefs come into play. And sometimes it's big, deep stuff that we really got to work on really hard and exercise. And sometimes it's just little stuff that we just got to change our mind. It's not always heavy.
Give us some ways to get beyond for our listeners. Maybe somebody is here and they're doing everything themselves and they don't want to spend money. They don't want to hire because they think it's costing them. They don't invest in themselves with training or coaching. I was that guy forever. I was just a grinder. I just grinded and thank God I was good at sales, so I was able to get things done. But what would you say to somebody like those people that are just trying to get, maybe it's not even just that. Maybe you're just somebody struggling with the financial insecurity thing. Like, because what you said earlier, I know for myself, I don't know, man, months you make 90 grand and you still feel like it's not enough. And other months you're making 30 grand and you're like, oh my God, this is not enough. So is it ever enough?
Entrepreneur Masters, I'm going to get you right back to the show. Listen, we got a couple great opportunities. Number one, David Hill is my name. Follow-up is my game. I've been doing it 36 years, many industries, and it's always led to sales, which is my superpower. And now I'm sharing it with you. It's something I've been talking about for years. And finally, we released Ringleader CRM. And listen to this. We are going to offer a great opportunity for listeners of the Persistent Entrepreneur podcast. All you need to do is send me a message, CRM, and I will give you 50% discount off of your first year. That's right. You'll get 50% discount off of your first year using our CRM. You will follow up like a genius. Number 2, I want you to check out our listings club. If you're a real estate agent, by the way, the CRM, we have an element in our CRM where we offer IDX. So it's also perfect for you real estate agents. And we have the listings club. Y'all, there's over 140 lessons in there. Lessons, everything from how to cold call to what to send and everything in between. So you want to check that out. If you're a real estate agent, you go to realestatelistings.club. And finally, if you go to davidhill.link, you'll see all of my products, all the services, everything we offer is right there. Y'all, we appreciate you listening to the show. Make sure you go to davidhill.link, check out the products, and message me CRM. Once you do that on any of my socials, I will get you a link so you can check out the CRM. And if you need to, I'm even happy to jump on a quick call with you because we're excited. It's our beta launch now, and we're excited to help you blow up your business. You rock. Enjoy the rest of the show.
I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, a guy named Al, and they're doing really well. I said, Al, when is enough? A couple of things there. First of all, a lot of times we can't figure this out alone. In other words, me just saying do this or do that, or just setting a goal, and sometimes we need to get help. Sometimes we need to get a coach. Sometimes we need to get, whether it's a money coach or an entrepreneurial coach, a lot of different kinds of coaches. I coach people in areas. It's because we can't figure it out ourselves. It could be beliefs. It could be lack of knowledge. It could be lack of discipline. Who knows? It could be lots of little things. We're avoiding things. Why are we avoiding that? I don't know. Accountability, right? That just the power of support and accountability is a big one. So when it comes to the money stuff, right now, I'm going to give you a shameless plug for my book, because that's one thing I do in the book, The Hidden Heist. And the subtitle is Stop Robbing Yourself of Lasting Wealth, An Irresistible Tale of Financial Redemption. That's where I expose a lot of the limiting beliefs, money beliefs that people have, as well as some basic fundamental principles of just saving and investing and taking care of one's financial stability. And we do it in a story form, because I've learned that sometimes we can just hear it straight on, and sometimes we got to hear it from a story or an example. We learn a lot. So this is a parable book. A lot of great parable books out there. The Alchemist, The Greatest Salesman in the World, Bob Burg's The Go-Giver series, the Bible is parables. There's a lot of great parable books out there. And so I decided I wanted to do it in that format, but I wanted it to have a little edge. So this is a money book that takes place in a bank robbery. And so there's edge to that and suspense, but there's also some fun because the bank robbers are bumbly. And so what happens is, while the bank robbers are trying to figure out how they get out of this mess that they got themselves into, the hostages are in the vault and they're starting to talk about money. And so with my co-author, Jeff C. West, who really brought the characters to life, we have about 7 main characters. Each one represents a money belief or a money thought, and then they talk about it in the book. And so that's how we bring that to life in kind of a fun, suspenseful, interesting story with a twist at the end that nobody expects to come. Now, I'm the straightforward guy, so I like to communicate the idea straightforward, but my co-author, Jeff C. West, he's the writer, he's the storyteller. So we make a good combo there. Now, I was so afraid that people might get lost in the good story that they wouldn't get the message. So we have appendices that give everything real straight. So for those who want to get it straight, you get that in the book as well. And actually, I gave one to my personal trainer. I just saw him today. And he says, give me 3 more. I got 3 children. They're not listening to me. They should read your book. So a lot of folks are getting the book as a gift for their children, because the children either aren't listening or the parents don't know what to tell them or whatever. Hence the Hidden Heist.
That sounds awesome. I'm looking forward to getting a copy myself. And I love stories. I think stories are the best way to communicate as well as educate people. And so when you said, I just want to, these 2 things that have really popped in my head. there's two beliefs around money that everybody knows, and you can finish my sentence. The first one is money is the root of
all evil.
That's right. Like you hear that? Anybody can finish that. And the second one is money doesn't grow on
trees.
Yeah. So
tell that to an apple farmer.
Yeah.
No, money,
Yeah.
Everybody knows that. My daughter knows that money grows in ATM machines. Now the new generation thinks
you don't need ATMs anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Money grows just by tapping it again. Tap it again, Dad. Tap it again, Mom. Yeah. So the money doesn't grow on trees thing. Obviously, money isn't an unlimited supply. Actually, it is. But let me explain. And then let's make sure we get back to the root of all evil thing. Don't let me forget that. So here's the deal. Money, truly how money works, is not a scarce resource. Now, it may feel scarce in your pocket or bank account at the moment, and that's real, and I get that. And the truth is money flows. And we have an international economy. Now, we have some debates right now about free trade versus non-free trade and all that, but I don't want to get into that. But basically, money flows. And we got to get into the flow. And I think entrepreneurs particularly understand that. Money follows value. When we provide value with the mindset of receiving that value, right? We can't just, it's not all about giving. It's also about receiving. They're both part of the equation. And we get in the flow. It really is a river that can flow through us and we expand with that. But if you believe money is a scarce resource, money will always be scarce, then it will always be scarce for you. And what you think about, you become. What you focus on grows stronger in your life. All right, now let's get to the money is the root of all evil. That's a misquote from the Bible. The Bible actually says the love of money is the root of all evil. And I would contend that's not actually what it really means. Now, I'm not a biblical scholar, so don't quote me here. But I think what it really means is the attachment to money, the unhealthy love of money. As we talked about at the very beginning, about when you start to derive your self-esteem through your self-worth through your financial net worth, your bank account, right? Or you're trying to use money as power over others. And so that's where the love of money can indeed be the root of all evil. Alden Beckett, one of the main characters in the book, The Hidden Heist, says, I have this right by my computer. I should memorize it. Money is meant to be used and people are meant to be loved. The trouble starts when we reverse the two. And so that, to me, that's the money is the root of all. No, the love of money. No, love money. Love money. Love what money can do to help you and your family and society. And we'd all be better off if we all had more money flowing through us. So many problems would be solved. But the attachment and the power, that kind of love can create evil, no question.
Yeah. So a couple of things I wrote down as well. So I'm thinking about this thing that was said to me a long time ago by a coach. Her name was Diana Kokoska, always said money is energy. And 15 years ago, I didn't understand that, but I think now I understand that. And I think it's easy to understand now because you don't need to carry money anymore. You literally, like you just said, you can tap your phone. Right? So money really is energy, right? What's your thought on that?
Yeah, it's a hard thing to conceptualize, but I do agree with that. Money, see, a lot of people say that money is a human invention, and it is. The currency is a human invention. Now, the currency could be beads, it could be shells, it could be coconuts, it could be coins, it could be paper. I don't know if you're showing the video to folks, but behind me is a briefcase full of $1 million. This is what $1 million looks like in a briefcase. Okay, that's paper. That's currency.
Is that $1 million right there?
Let me hold it to the camera. This is
amazing.
This is real money, my friend.
Awesome.
The security guards are on 6-hour shifts outside.
Good. I was going to ask where you live.
It's not all $1 million, but there are real hundreds in there because it's a problem. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is I think the idea of exchanging value is human nature. And that's the energy, right? It's an exchange of value. It's an exchange of service. That's why money is energy, and money flows, and money is not limited. And you got to get in the flow. Now, how does one get in the flow? You provide value. That's what entrepreneurs do. One of the things I learned, and one of the reasons I got into the business of working with financial advisors and financial services and helping them bring in their billions and acquire more clients, is one of the lessons I learned is if you want to make more money, help others make more money.
Yeah.
And so that's a principle, right? And that's one of the ways you get into the flow of helping others make more money. I want to touch on real quick this idea of value giving and receiving. I actually like to joke. Do you play golf, David?
I used to play a lot more than I do now, but
All right.
yeah, I know.
And anyone listening who plays golf will understand this. That if your putt is close to the hole, your partner will say, it's good, or pick it up, meaning don't bother putting it. It's good. We know you're going to make it. And that's a gift they give you. You can't call your own putt good. Someone else has to call it good for you. At least that's the way it's supposed to work. And you pick it up. All right. So I decided.
Depends on how much money you're playing for, but yes. Yeah, right.
Yeah, they may make you putt it out.
Yeah.
And you look at them and go, really? Yeah. Man,
Yeah. That's
worth
three
a buck.
inches.
Of
You
course
could
you're gonna
miss
putt
it.
So I've learned that it's good to give. We know it's good to give. We feel good giving. But when we give, there's got to be a receiver, right? So I decided, and this is tongue in cheek, just so you know, I'm practicing the art of receiving. And
Amen.
there's a great quote. I want to share this. A lot of people that makes their head hurt. It's from a writer by the name of Elizabeth Babesco. And she wrote, "Blessed are those who can give without remembering and take or receive without forgetting. Receive without forgetting, gratitude. Give without remembering, no ego attached to the giving." And it always amazes me when I see these anonymous donations to charities, universities, research, you name it, right? Anonymous. Someone gives $1 million, $2 million, $10 million. They don't even want credit for it. Now that's a healthy money relationship there, probably, right? That's a place where you don't need ego. I challenge people, donate without being acknowledged. Give money without being acknowledged. And then you're going to find out a little bit about your own money story.
All right. Awesome. I have one more question for you. Before I get there, tell people how best way to get in touch with you. And if they want to get a copy of your book, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, thank you. The book is called The Hidden Heist, and obviously Amazon or thehiddenheist.com, thehiddenheist.com. We got a fun little minute video trailer, kind of like a movie trailer for the book because it's a storybook. And by the way, it's on Audible. We hired a Random House actor, fiction actor, a voice book actor. I don't even know what you call these guys, to bring the characters to life. So the audio is really cool, unlike most nonfiction books you've ever heard. Now, my business website is referralcoach.com. I'm happy to talk to you about referrals for your business or how you talk about your value. I wrote a book called Radical Relevance, which is all about how you talk about your value. So yeah, it's get in my world. Let's chat. I'd love to see if I can bring you some value.
Amazing, man. I'm going to wrap with this. I just want to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah.
I was thinking about a couple of people that reached out to me recently. I would say I'm primarily a business coach and consultant. I help people with the sales process and automations. But for whatever reason, recently, I'd say God maybe has brought them to me. But a couple of people have come to me that are fairly successful, but they don't want to charge for what they do. Like they're struggling to charge. And hey, it's ironic because they're like, my friends come to me, people come to me for advice. They want to know that, and I help them out, but I don't feel comfortable charging them. So for whatever reason, our conversation today made me think about that. So what do you say to those people that are struggling to charge for what they do?
Yeah. What's your limiting belief? Potentially. Now, look, sometimes we do pro bono work. Sometimes we help people. And I do a certain amount of that. And I do a certain amount of coaching where I don't charge.
But this is not that.
This is not that. All right.
Yeah.
So if this, and when someone comes to me for a legit big project and there's an ROI for them on that, then that's a belief in your value, right? Do you believe in your value in two areas, right? Number one, do you believe in your value enough to charge for it? And sometimes you just need to start charging and see that people will pay. I remember a while ago, David, I was doing a program for a financial firm in Kansas City. And this was a while ago. I charged 10 grand to go out there for a half a day. And that was decent money, 10 grand for half a day. I get more now, but the guy told me that I could charge more. I should charge more. He said, you should charge more. And so sometimes we got to hear from someone else, right?
Yeah.
And when your customers tell you should charge more, please listen, please receive that message and take that in. So the gal Melissa I was talking about earlier, that was one of her issues around money shame, and she wasn't charging enough for her services. And then she finally just, on a leap of faith, just started charging more, and she was getting it. And people were still happy and thrilled to do that. So there's some self-worth thing, there's some value worth thing. The other part of that equation, by the way, since I talk a lot about referrals, do you believe your value is worth sharing? Right? Do you believe, not only do you believe in your value, but do you believe it's worth sharing so that you will be proactive in generating more referrals and personal introductions to multiply your best clients? Now we're getting into my referral world, but it's all about that belief, and there's something blocking you. It could be based on something you learned when you were 7 years old. It could be something more recent. I don't know. Everybody's different. But if you don't crack that, then you're not going to probably earn what you deserve.
Yep. Amen to that. All right. Listen, man, I appreciate your time today. Thank you. I think you did a great job and brought some value. We went a little longer than we planned. Any final thoughts? Anything I missed that you want to let people know? Give you the final word?
Yeah, I think the final word, really, just to sum it up, is if there's a complaint in any aspect of your life, first take a look at what do you believe about yourself, about the other person, about the situation. Start there, create some self-awareness, and then what'll happen is strategies will open up, tactics will open up that you were blind to before.
All right. Amazing. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for being on the show.
You bet. Thank you.
Hey, Masters, I want to thank you for checking out the show. My friends, if you made it this far, it means you listened to the whole show. And I just want to say, listen, I so appreciate you. And hey, again, just thanks. That's all I can say. Thanks. Listen, if you love the show too, please give us a review. Give me a review. Go to Apple, iTunes, podcasts, give me a review. It helps tremendously. It helps us get more listeners, more downloads, also better guests, which also benefits you. And here's the other thing. If you email me your review, so email it to me at david@davidihill.com, and I will read it on air for you. I just want to say, listen, again, appreciate you. Don't forget about our sponsors. As always, real estate agents, vulcan7.com/path to mastery. It's the best tool for prospecting out there for real estate agents. vulcan7.com/path to mastery. My friends, every second Thursday of the month, we have our meetup. It's actually a live open podcast episode where you can be part of the conversation. You can ask questions of our guests. Every second Thursday of the month, just go to weloverealestate.net. weloverealestate.net. Get signed up right now. It doesn't matter when you sign up. You'll always be alerted for the next one coming. It's at 4 p.m. Eastern. So again, weloverealestate.net, second Thursday of the month, 4 p.m. Eastern. And finally, my friends, trycoaching.net. If you want to try a coaching call, maybe you've been thinking about coaching, maybe it's something that's been on your mind and you're just not really sure, let's jump on a call. I'm happy to work with you, give you a 30-minute coaching call on me, complimentary. Listen, you're a listener to Path to Mastery. It's the least I can do. And at the end of that, if you want to move on with some coaching, that's fantastic. If you choose not to, that's fine as well. You may know someone else that wants to take advantage of it. It's not even about that. It's about bringing you value, my friend. So go to trycoaching.net. Get registered for that 30-minute call. I want to help you with anything you're dealing with. Whether it's a challenge, it's a big idea, it's a goal, whatever it is, we want to help you work through that. So again, trycoaching.net. My friends, again, thank you for listening to the show and enjoy the rest of your day.